today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My sister has become an out-of-control drunk.
A protective mother.
You said she got a DUI, and of course I had to bail her out.
Only the first 3 times.
An unexpected twist.
This chair is empty. She's on the run.
What does mom not want Dr. Phil to reveal?
I'm afraid she could be angry and never speak to me again.
So you're more concerned about your feelings than her life? Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Terese says her 32-year-old daughter is tall, beautiful, with long blonde hair and a Barbie doll figure. But mom says behind her model good looks lies an alcoholic who drinks straight vodka hidden in water bottles and stays drunk 6 to 7 weeks straight. Now, mom says Kristen has gotten 3 DUIs before the age of 21, has been found by police passed out on the street, lying unconscious in a mall parking lot, and passed out drunk outside of her apartment. Now, Terese says her daughter hides her alcohol all over their 10-acre farm and turns violent when she's drunk, kicking in doors and even pulling a knife on mom and tackling her to the ground. Take a look.
My 32-year-old daughter, Kristen, is an alcoholic. She had 3 DUIs before she was 21. The first one, I did have to bail her out. And the second one, I did bail her out as well. And the third one, she ended up getting sentenced to 30 days. She drinks to get drunk. She opens a bottle of vodka and she drinks it until she's plastered. Kristen drinks by herself. It goes on for days and sometimes weeks. She puts all of her vodka in a water bottle, so it's easily disguised. She hallucinates. She saw ghosts, and next day she'd call me and tell me the names of the ghosts. One time, she's passed out on the side of the road. Another time, she passed out in a mall parking lot. We live on a 10-acre farm, and I find bottles. We're out in the barn right now, and I have found vodka bottles in this area over here, in the trash cans. Kristen came after me with a knife one time. I wrestled it out of her hand. She started kicking my door in. I filed a domestic abuse charge against her. I dismissed the charge after 5 days. There's another story that she may have been abused and a sex video made of her. She ended up in an institution for 10 days. They told me she was running down the hall crazy, naked. For the past 2 years, Kristen has been living with me. She lost her license. She'll call an Uber, and the Uber takes her to a liquor store. Last month, she found out she was pregnant. 2 weeks after that, she miscarried, and she went right back to the bottle. The violence that Kristen creates is ripping me apart. It's ripping our family apart. She says to me, I should just ignore her, let her be drunk. How am I supposed to do that? It's my daughter. I don't want to watch her die.
Well, Terese, let's talk about her drinking first off. Do you know why she says she drinks? Have you asked her straight up?
I have.
What does she say?
She won't tell me an answer. She just doesn't give me an answer.
Because we asked her that question like 10 different ways. And we got a lot of different answers, but I wanted to tell you one of them to see if she has communicated this to you. She says when she is angry, she will drink to, quote, show them and to, quote, piss her family off. She says, they think they have control of me. I'm going to show them they don't. I'll do this just to piss them off. Does that surprise you?
It does not.
Because she's that rebellious.
She's bullheaded and she doesn't want anyone telling her what to do. She's never expressed that to me, but I'm not surprised that she said that.
You're not surprised?
No.
Now, when you say she's had 3 DUIs before she was 21, the drinking age in your state is 21.
Correct.
So when did she start drinking?
I'm not sure when she started drinking, but her first DUI was right after high school graduation.
Okay, and you know, the statistics are your chances of getting a DUI are about 1 in 5,000. So if she's had 3, she's drinking a lot. And there have been times that she's been found, stopped, caught drinking where they didn't write her up, correct?
Correct.
So those are just the 3 times they did write her up.
Right.
So she's been drinking heavily way before she was even of age to be drinking. What did you do the first time you found her drinking? How old was she?
She was in high school, so probably a senior in high school.
What did you do?
Well, I was angry with her. When she came home, then she had been drinking, but she wasn't really drunk. I could just tell that she'd been drinking. So, of course, I became angry and scolded her, but I don't recall punishing her for it. I just don't recall.
So nothing really, there was no consequence?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
You said you didn't realize the severity of her drinking problem until her 3rd DUI?
Right.
Tell me how that works. She's underage, she has 1 DUI, she has another DUI, and you don't realize the severity of it until she gets her 3rd one? Was she giving you excuses? How was she throwing this by you?
Well, I thought she was just a kid, partying and having bad luck. But once I started witnessing her drinking, I thought that her body didn't metabolize alcohol because she just seemed to go from sober to really drunk instantly.
In retrospect, have you been asleep at the switch here?
Yes.
In retrospect, have you been enabling her?
By not punishing her or
By
having
anything?
consequences?
Because I noticed on your tape, the thing you said, well, she got a DUI, and of course I had to bail her out. Like, isn't that what parents do? They go get their children out of trouble. And that just really hit my ear funny when you said, and of course I went and bailed her out.
Well, only the first 3 times. After that, I didn't bail her out anymore. Well, I didn't leave her in jail. I mean, she had to suffer consequences. She had to go to jail for 30 days. Well, she was sentenced to jail for 30 days.
You said, well, she was bullied, so maybe that's why she did it. Maybe her body doesn't metabolize it. I thought she was just a teenager having fun. She went to jail, so I bailed her out.
Right.
It's like excuse, cover,
right.
Clean up,
right.
Fix up, and now she's drinking 7-8 weeks at a time on binges into a stupor. The fact that you think it's actually eroding her liver at this point, correct?
Right, correct.
And I mean, let's look at the behaviors that are happening according to you. 3 DUIs since between 18 and 21. She's crashed into a parked car, clearly could have been seriously injured. She's come home and howled like a wolf because you locked her out. She sees and talks to ghosts and says they want her to help them. You said she's even named the ghost. She went after you with a knife. Now, this had to do with taking the dog out.
Correct.
So pretty radical behavior. She's kicked in your door.
Correct.
Passed out in the middle of the road, tried to jump out of a car on the expressway because she didn't like what was being said. She stole alcohol from the supermarket, just shoplifted it.
Right.
Passed out in a mall parking lot, passed out on the doorstep of her apartment. Couldn't even get up. So at this point, she is impaired, right?
Right.
You think it's easier to draw the line in the sand now or when you found her drinking at 15, 16, or 17? Clearly it would have been easier then, right?
Right. Clearly, Dr. Phil, 20/20 hindsight, and I should have done something when the first DUI.
I've got to get you to say, okay, look, what I've done hasn't worked.
I'm aware of that.
And that's why you wrote to me, right? That's why you said, okay, I've seen what you do does work. What I'm doing is not working, so I'm going to follow what you do, that protocol. All right, Terese says her 32-year-old daughter gets so crazy and violent when she's drunk that she had to call 911 on her 4 times. Well, we'll hear what Kristen has to say next.
Once I'm finished with my beer bottles, I will put them like in here. This is my vehicle. I can't drive it right now because of my DUI. It's been sitting here for about 2 years now.
You're very controlling.
I feel like stresses of my mother cause me to have anger.
And later, you have given us video of Kristen being drunk.
Correct.
And then you said you didn't want us to show it.
Kristen drinks in cycles. She'll decide to get drunk, and then she'll stay drunk for 5 or 6 weeks at a time. The only way I've been able to get her sober is by calling 911. On 3 occasions, they took her in to detox, but they release her the next morning. She'll get a job, she gets a couple paychecks, and she starts drinking again.
Terese says her 32-year-old daughter, Kristen, has stolen liquor from the grocery store, gotten drunk in the bathroom, forgotten where she left the car, and passed out on the side of the road while walking home. Now, Kristen admits she has a problem with alcohol, but says that she drinks, well, she says she does it because she likes it.
The bedroom is where I do my drinking. I normally drink beer, but I have been known to drink vodka. Once I'm finished with my beer bottles, I will put them like in here. One time, to hide my alcohol, I disguised vodka in a water bottle. When I drink, I usually drink alone. When I drink, I feel empowered.
You're very controlling. Because I asked you not to drink?
Because of everything that you do. I feel like stresses of my mother cause me to have anger.
I can't handle life as long as
You can let go and let me live my life.
not when you're living in this house.
I drink when I am pushed into a corner and I feel like my only sense of control is to be defiant. Because of my 3 DUIs, I sometimes have to find a ride to get to work. This is my vehicle. I can't drive it right now because of my DUI. It's been sitting here for about 2 years now. Last time I drank in my car was about a month ago when my mother locked me out of the house. I feel guilty after drinking because I've let down people in my life. I wish I knew the rhyme or reason why I drink. I don't know what's behind it.
Well, as you can see, Kristen's chair is empty. It's empty because something happened this morning starting at about 5:48. Take a look.
It's show morning, and our guest Kristen sent my PA Nicole a text message this morning at 5:48 saying, "I'm sorry, Nicole, I just can't seem to muster up the courage to go on national television. Anxiety has overcome me this morning and rendered me in panic mode. Please don't hold my mother or sister accountable. They have tried their very best." Since then, we've been trying to get in touch with Kristen.
I just want to make sure if one of our guests checked out of your hotel. Her name is Kristen. So 6:30 today in the morning.
My entire team and her mother have been calling both Kristen and her boyfriend since 5:48. We've also tried texting, and so far they have not responded to any of our phone calls or our text messages. We're going to try to call Kristen. I want to try to get in touch with her again so that we can try to at least talk to her. At this point, Kristen has gone missing.
Okay, so at 5:48 this morning, this starts, and she's on the run. Is this surprising to you?
Not really. I mean, I was hopeful she would come, but she tried to get off the plane, or didn't, when we were in line to get on the plane, she tried to run. And she expressed a lot of concern, you know, to even your staff when they were doing video and things. So I'm disappointed.
And what do you want to see happen now?
I want to get her to get better.
What do you want me to do?
She respects you. She said before that she respects your opinion. And as you know, I've contacted Show years ago, and I could never get her to agree to go on. But the day that I had locked her out of the house for 5 days, and she came back in when she was sober, after I called 911, she said to me, "Call Dr. Phil, Mom. I'm ready for help." So I'm hoping she still has that. She's never said that before. This is the first time.
What we're told is that she took off in the car with her boyfriend.
Correct.
And what do you know about her boyfriend?
She's been dating him for, I think, about 3 months. She met him in meetings that they go to for, he was also an addict. And he's been sober for a year. So I thought the relationship was healthy because he was in the same situation.
He knows what she's here for, right?
Right.
And he knows that she is on the doorstep of getting what may well be life-saving help, and says, okay, I'll help you, let's get out of here. You're drinking, what, quart of vodka a day, and you're wrecking cars and getting arrested and eroding your health, and these people are all about getting you better. Let's get the hell out of here. Your mother's here, your sister's here, they've got Dr. Phil and his team here, and they're all about getting you healthy. Let's get the hell out of here.
I'm afraid of her, that she's going to be angry and never speak to me again.
Wow. You're more concerned about your feelings than her life? And later, I've been told something that had I known this morning, I would have called a car to take both of you back to the airport. What do you know about me and when I get involved in these addiction situations?
I think you don't give up on them. You give them every bit of help that they need, and it's top quality help. And that's what she needs.
And I don't give up. So you know, once I get involved, I'm all in.
That's right.
I either don't get involved or I'm all in. I'm all or nothing, right?
Right.
You know that. And you've seen me send family members out of here if they can't be all in as well, right?
Yes.
Because addicts are very perceptive in finding that weak spot. You have given us video of Kristen being drunk.
Correct.
And then you said you didn't want us to show it.
I'm afraid of her, that she's going to be angry and never speak to me again.
Wow. So you're more concerned about your feelings than her life?
I hadn't thought about it that way. What I'm concerned about, in which is having it aired on national TV, or what, I guess that's what she's concerned about.
You've watched this show before, right?
I have watched the show. I have watched it. That's why I sent the video.
Okay. Do you see this right here? Do you know what this is?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
These are cameras. And do you know what you are? You're a teaching tool. That's how this works. Everybody that comes on this show is a teaching tool. What you get is the up-close focus and attention of me and every resource at my fingertip globally to help everybody that I work with. That's what you get. I've been studying this case. I've got a notebook, 250 pages. We asked you a lot of questions, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and I've read every word you've said. I've read every word that her sister said. I've read everything about it. I do my homework. I know the facts of this case. I've studied it. Ask my wife if I've not been in there till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, studying this, listening to the pre-recorded interviews, getting the facts of this down. I've prepared and I've studied because my belief is if you are willing to come all the way across the country, to come here to sit down with me, then I owe it to you to have done my damn homework. And what we get out of it is a teaching tool. Because you're here, that's one.
Right.
Should be two.
Right.
But there's one. And there are millions and millions of people watching this around the United States and dozens of foreign countries around the world. And a lot of them are in your situation. They have a young child that's abusing alcohol or drugs. And like you, they're saying, what do I do? I don't know what to do. They're over 18, so I can't dictate. I can only influence. I can't bear thinking about them being under a bridge somewhere. I'm torn. I don't know what to do or how to do it. And so they're all leaning forward saying, what's Dr. Phil going to say to her? Because I need to hear it. I need to know what to do. Just that's why you've watched. Right. You say, here are these tapes, but don't show them. She might get upset with me. Upset with you? She's attacked you with a knife over taking the dog out. She's crashed cars. She's had 3 DUIs. She's abused you mentally, emotionally, physically. She's put her life in danger. Your job is not to be her friend. Your job is to be her mother. Your job is not to make her like you. Your job is to save her life. If she never speaks to you again, but you save her life, you get her off of this alcohol, you get her before her liver blows up on her and becomes toxic and she poisons her own body, or she goes out and she gets to toxicity to the point that her respiration shuts down and she wakes up dead, or she crashes her car and kills herself and some innocent child on the way to school, then you've done your job. That's your job. And my job is to make sure that we do everything we can that happens. And I'm either going to get involved in this or I'm not. And I am not unless you are all in.
Okay, I'm in.
And now think about that.
I'm in.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Kristen's sister and find out why she says Kristen is destroying their mother's life. And is on the verge of taking her down. This girl is wrecking this family. They need to fight back for her and for themselves. We'll be right back.
Kristen hallucinates when she drinks. After our grandfather passed away, Kristen told me she saw him and talked to him. My mom called me and told me that Kristen came home drunk and started howling like a wolf because she was locked out of the house. I haven't seen my sister in over a year.
Closed captioning provided by Terese says her daughter Kristen's problem started when she was in the 8th grade and other girls would torment her out of jealousy. Since then, she says her daughter's life has continued to spiral out of control, and Kristen has gotten multiple DUIs, 3 before she even turned 21, and another one when she hit a parked car on New Year's Eve. As you can see, there's an empty chair here because Kristen was supposed to be here today, but she didn't show up. She was here, she was in town, but at 5:48 this morning, drama started to unfold and she is in the wind. Now, Kristen's sister Danny says that Kristen even tried to get her to take the blame by claiming she was the one driving in one of these crashes and not Kristen. This is what Danny told our field producer.
My sister Kristen has become an out-of-control drunk. Alcohol has turned Kristen into a completely different person. Growing up, Kristen and I were very close. I used to imitate Kristen and follow her all around. She is no longer the amazing sister I looked up to. Kristen hallucinates when she drinks. After our grandfather passed away, Kristen told me she saw him and talked to him. It was really fresh after he died, so it was painful to hear. One time, she chased a friend around the house with a knife because she was hallucinating people trying to get into the house. I haven't seen my sister in over a year. She came to Michigan and I had to go pick her up. We were driving back to my home and Kristen was very drunk. She was insisting on opening the back door of the car while we were driving. We had to pull over to the side. I was horrified she was going to fall out and that'd be the end of it. A few Christmases ago, Kristen just kept getting more and more drunk. And eventually she got into her car and crashed into a parked car. After she crashed into the parked car, Kristen called me and wanted me to take the blame for the accident. About a week ago, my mom called me and told me that Kristen came home drunk and started howling like a wolf because she was locked out of the house.
She just stayed the night out there?
4 days. She was so drunk, I didn't think she was going to make it.
I want the Kristen that I knew growing up back. If something isn't done, she's going to end up dead.
Okay, Danny, thanks for being here. And let me tell both of you, I grew up with an alcoholic father, bad drinker, and just jumping out of cars, and I get it. Been there. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that. That's not fun, and it's scary as hell, right? Because you think she's gonna wind up dead, and then you think, what could I have done? Should I have done? Or whatever. You've been listening to everything we've been talking about, right?
I have.
Are you worried about where she is right now?
Yes, I know that she's safe, but it would have been really great if she were here with us.
Have you talked to her since she left?
No. She this morning she texted me and said she loved me and she was sorry. And she hasn't answered any phone calls since.
Okay. Do you believe that her life hangs in the balance here?
I absolutely believe that.
Yeah. You've been listening to everything we've talked about. You've heard what I've said to your mother. And your mother says she's all in on this. Are you?
I am.
Because I've been told something that had I known this morning, we wouldn't be here now, just to be honest with you. Because I was told at 7 a.m. that the stage called our associate producer and said that Danny would not sign the release forms for the show this morning because you are about to graduate college and didn't want the tapes to be used because it would embarrass you, and so you didn't want to do that.
Yes.
Had they told me that, I would have called a car to take both of you back to the airport, and we would have moved on, because as I've said, I'm either all in or I'm not in at all. And had I known, we get tens of thousands of letters asking for our help. And when we get somebody here, they have fought to get here, and boy, they come prepared to do what it takes to save their loved ones' lives. And then I get somebody here, and they say, no, I'm more worried about my reputation than my sister's life, and I don't want you to do what you need to do. Then I would have said, totally, I get it. I understand this is just not the right place for you. It's not the right forum. You just shouldn't be here.
Kristen was like my best friend, but I don't know who she is anymore. I'm just ready for this all to be over.
Closed captioning provided by...
I believe Kristen's problem started when she was just started developing her figure in school, and the girls were very jealous of her. They followed her home. They threatened to beat her up. They came to her house. They drew breasts in the driveway with chocolate syrup. So this had to be devastating to her, but she refuses to acknowledge it had any effect on her life whatsoever.
It's not too late to bail now, because if we go forward, you've got to be all in, because I will track her till the end of the world to find her, to get her, to drag her to help, whatever it takes. But I got to know she can't call one of you for an exit ramp and an excuse to bail. She can't get into treatment and call y'all and give you the week one letter. The week one letter is, oh my God, I thought I was bad till I got here. This is where the really bad ones are. You need to get me out of here, please. I can write the letter before they even get there. It's almost a form letter. They just sign it and send it to you. I know I know the scams that they run, and I got to know that you're all in and you're not going to do that. When we do this, we don't work, these aren't 28-day patches. We work to criteria. It may be 60 days, 90 days. It may be a year by the time you get through with halfway houses and sober living and getting jobs. She may never return to the hometown because of all of the triggers and traps and problems. You have to do whatever it takes. You don't do it for a week or a month or a year. You do it until, and you do whatever it takes. And the job is to save her life. So I'm asking you, where are you on this?
I'm all in.
Okay. I totally believe you. I totally believe you. What has changed your mind?
I'm just ready for this all to be over and for Kristen to be on a good path and to not have to worry about her being a part of my life, because right now I'm afraid that she's not going to be around for too much longer.
And you miss her now, don't
I do,
you?
yeah. Our relationship has suffered.
Because you can remember back at a time when you guys were right. True?
Yeah.
What was it like when it was this?
Kristen was like my best friend. We were so close, and I've always looked up to her, but I don't know who she is anymore.
Yeah. And you know, you guys know, because you've seen it. And Mom, I know in watching your child change, you see the personality changes, the psychological changes. But what you don't realize is this also changes their brain. And so it gets to a point where the brain is so toxic that this is probably involuntary for her right now. I mean, there are neurological changes at different levels, the amygdala, there are different structures of the brain that change, that have to really be reprogrammed. And where she could go through detox and blow clean on a breathalyzer, her brain won't actually be clear for months or a year before at a cellular level she's actually clear brain-wise. There's so much that goes into this. So, you know, a 28-day white knuckling is not getting clean and sober. That just means you can pass a breathalyzer. That's not clean and sober. There's so much more that needs to go into this. And I can tell you this, from what I've seen and what I've heard, she's still in there. I want to introduce you guys to somebody here that I've flown in for this express purpose. I started working with these folks 5 years ago. This is Karen Walsh. She's the owner of Inspirations for Youth and Families. It's the nation's leading family addiction treatment and dual diagnosis center, and affiliate of the Cove Center for Recovery in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And the Cove specializes in the systemic impact of addiction and trauma and other psychological disorders. And that's so important because she didn't start doing this in a vacuum. There's a lot of psychological noise going on with her at the same time. And Karen, you've been studying this case, right?
Yes, I have.
And she is right up your alley in terms of dual diagnosis, correct?
Correct. I think the dual diagnosis is going to be a very impactful diagnosis and treatment plan, looking at both the mental health and the addiction and bridging the two.
Dr. Jim Hughes is to Karen's right, and Jim, you've been down this road so many times, and dealing with these things simultaneously instead of doing one and not the other is critical to the long-term recovery, right?
Very much so. And even in the words that she texted earlier this morning, the word she mentioned was anxiety. So that tells me that some parts of her mental health have triggered to such an extent that she showed avoidance to us in this room today, and therefore trying to self-medicate with, in this case, alcohol.
Yeah. And you know, this is a team approach, and you guys will be very involved in this as well. And this is something that, with everybody leaning into this at the right time, and it's got to make you both sick and angry right now that this chair is empty. She's going to run out of options, and she's going to reach back out for a soft touch with you two, and you're going to say, "Yeah, I'll help you. I'll meet you." right on Dr. Phil's stage with him sitting right there. And I always tell people when they're here, this is the beginning of my relationship, not the end. You've heard me say time and time again that I will haunt these guests that are struggling with addiction. Well, there's a brand new way that I will be in their face long after they leave this stage. I'm going to tell you how that works when we come back. Closed captioning provided by... You've all heard me tell the people with whom I intervene for drug and alcohol abuse, any kind of addiction, that I will haunt them to the ends of the earth once I get involved, and I mean it. You've also heard me say that you must never, ever surrender to the disease. And what I mean by that is you just don't ever drop your end of the rope. I mean, it is a tug of war. And we think outside the box in designing what addicts need. And we know that the most dangerous phase of treatment is clearly the transition from the structured environment of the rehabilitation center to the unsupervised world they face on discharge. Now, to bridge that gap, I've actually created a virtual reality tool to help that transition go smoothly. When people get out of rehab, what happens? They face triggers for relapse: old friends, old hangouts, old habits, access to their substance of choice. So we've created our own triggers for coping in the form of a never-before distinctive VR experience, virtual reality experience. What you want is something that stands out. Look, most of our life is wallpaper, right? And things don't pop out. What you need is something that pops out of the noise, something that rises above the noise, like a distinctive voice. And that voice, in this case, is me. Because I want to be there, I want to be in their head, and it's me training these folks on how to handle these high-risk situations on discharge. And so the most elite programs in the country now have this tool as part of their protocol. It's called Dr. Phil's Path to Recovery, and it's intended to offer a unique experience where patients can sit down in a face-to-face setting with me without ever leaving the safety of the facility. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Eric, come on out. Here's my techie, Eric. All right, we go put this on, and we've got this wired to the screens. You're going to see on the screens what Eric is seeing in the goggles. Now, this is pre-recorded. Okay, Eric, look up. Now look to your left. This is what he's seeing. Now, what I've done here is I've put them in a bar situation. So while they're in rehab, they're sitting talking to me in a bar. Now they're sitting, and this is actually in my backyard. So I can talk to them in a relaxed setting where they can hear and remember some coping strategies in a 3D virtual reality situation. Expect my dog to come walking through any minute here. But look up at the sky. See, this is actually the virtual reality world. You have to go to a function with people. You see the triggers of the alcohol bottle sitting there. You see people around. You've got peer pressure. So I can talk to them in this situation while they're still in rehab without them actually having to go to a bar and see the triggers. So you've got a distinctive voice that complements the existing program. And this is such a powerful tool. Okay, take it off so you don't. So what's your experience when you look in there?
That's crazy. It's like you're actually there.
It's very realistic, right?
Very realistic. It's like you're there in all these environments. Like, it's an amazing way for a teaching tool.
Yeah, it's scary, actually. It's so real once you put it on. So, and for more information about facilities that actually use this technology, you can go to drphil.com and see what's there. And again, we are going to keep on the trail, on the hunt. Any information you get, you tell us. We'll give it to our people. We'll find her. We'll approach her with love and commitment. But we're going to find her. Jim, Karen, we're going to get her in your hands, and you guys are going to do what you do best. Okay. Special thanks to Karen Walsh and Jim Hughes from Inspirations for Youth and Families with the Cove Center for Recovery. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Dr. Phil would like you to try to call Kristen.
Oh, okay.
Hello, you've reached Kristen. Leave a message and I'll call you back as soon as I can.
Hi, Kristen. It's me, Danny. I'm here with Mom. We just want to let you know that we love you and make sure everything's okay. Call me back when you can. Bye.
Hey, will you try texting her and see if she'll respond to you, please?
I said, hi, Kristen. Where are you? Everything okay?
I'm about to call Kristen's boyfriend because I think she's with him. Hi, this is Terese. Would you please call me back as soon as you get a chance? Thank you. I think she will contact us in a couple hours or any minute maybe.
If Kristen calls me back, I'll tell her that we're still here and we're going to do everything we can to get her better.
Thank you to Dr. Phil and his entire staff for not giving up on